I'd like to welcome back, and we are at that last spot where we'll be looking at issues as it concerns citizen engagement. And to do justice to the topic, I have a very high-profile legal luminary. I'd like to make welcome Barrister Smart Edughe.
Yes. Good morning, Deltans and viewers at home.
Yes, Barrister Smart Edughe, a consummate legal practitioner, one of Nigeria's best, if you ask me, a great Unibear.
Thank you.
Great Unibear.
Greatest.
All right, so we'll be looking at citizen engagement and capacity for reinforced governance and social accountability. So we'll just run through a few questions while we begin to wrap up. What, in your view, is the significance of participatory governance in a democratic society? Quickly.
Yes, the importance of participatory governance can never be overemphasized. Government is for everybody, so it can never be left in the hands of few. That is why every citizen must be engaged in the process for the betterment of society.
But we'll see some people in some quarters, sidelining, or rather citizen engagement being lopsided.
Well, it is life itself is a struggle. So the governance, because it had become a way, or rather a part and parcel of how some persons earn their living and daily bread. There must be scheming to outplay some persons. So that, of course, is natural. But what we are saying here is that the process of governance is for every person, every citizen of every nation. But, time is very limited. If not, we would have gone into why some persons do not really want to be part of the process. But if you ask me, like I have always said in other fora, that whether the process is working well or not, you must endeavor to participate. Because if you do not participate, it will even make it worse. Because those who are seated there, they are not challenged and corrected. They will continue to indulge in what they think is the best. So every person getting involved is the best way to ensure that we get the best out of the process.
Okay, we are getting the best out of the gamut of the process. Empowering citizens fosters what we call a sense of ownership and accountability. So now turning into transparency, could you just elaborate on how the transparency mantra contributes to accountable governance moving forward?
Yes, in every aspect of life, transparency is key. Every aspect. Transparency in this discourse now is the openness of the process of governance. In anything government wants to do, there must be laid down procedure that is known to everyone that is concerned. If the process of governance is not open to those concerned, the people who are the subject, then they can never challenge the process, because you cannot challenge what you do not know about. Therefore, political scientists developed the concept of transparency and accountability. That for a leader, the elected representative, or whether elected or not, to be held accountable, there must be laid down procedures to follow. It is when the laid down procedures are known to everyone concerned that we will be able to know that some of the laid down procedures are being breached. And when they are being breached, then you now call the people to order. And it is when you call them to order and they own responsibility, because accountability is only the process. If you are elected or you are appointed, that is why in the civil service, for example, we have accounting officers. Those people are accountable for the schedules they hold. When you are also elected, you are accountable to the people who elect you. And the process of what you are going to do, if it is known to the people, then they will be able to call you to question when they feel that you are breaching the process. That is transparency and accountability. And where these two concepts do not work, are not in action, then development is retarded.
Okay.
And happiness, as presumed by the people who developed the concept of democracy to say is the greatest number of happiness for the greatest number of persons, can never be achieved.
And so when you're talking about happiness, we also know that there are also states of melancholy, you know, where sadness can also come to play. Can you just speak to that quickly as well?
Sadness.
Yeah.
Well, sadness, I do not know the angle you are bringing it in.
When the right things are not being done.
Very good.
Because most of the times, they say if you must come to equity, then you must come with clean hands.
Yeah.
And where there are no transparency, because we've heard of cases of, you know, taxpayers' funds that have been left in the custody of a certain few, and they are diverted. We've heard of cases where you say antelopes swallowed.
Yes.
You know, I mean, these are ambiguous.
That is where the citizen engagement comes in from. Now, I think the essence of this program is to educate the public about the need to ask questions and also explore the existing laws, the help they can offer. For instance, every strata of governance has rules and regulations governing it. It is very important that the citizens should know which law governs which aspect of government, so that where money is being misappropriated, or where people who are supposed to give account of their actions, because it is, when we talk about accountability, it's not only about money. For instance, the process of employment, sometimes it could be abused, and when it is abused, there is need to give account. We've heard of instances where they said some persons were employed at the Central Bank of Nigeria without due process. There is no transparency, because I just said earlier that when the rules are laid down, that to employ persons in this place, there must be advert, there must be this, there must be a committee, and if all these processes are not followed, then the employment is not transparent. And the people who are in charge of the employment, they may not be able to give account of how their employment went, because they know that they have offended the processes, they have breached the processes. So there will not be accountability. And now that can give sadness. But the essence of enlightening the society, the citizen, is to ensure, to let them know that they should not allow their sadness to weigh them down. They should not fall back. Rather, they should be encouraged to explore the processes through which justice and happiness, more happiness, can be achieved. That is the essence of this program. To tell them that there are laws that they can rely on to support them, to ensure that transparency prevails in our polity and accountability becomes the order of the day.
The watchword, so to speak. All right, so moving forward quickly. A transparent government is essential for fostering trust between citizens and the elected representative. What role do accountability mechanisms play now in ensuring we have good governance?
Well, even without asking this question, I think I have already delved into it before, that without accountability, the process of governance can never achieve its set objectives, because accountability is the ownership of the process. You have been elected as a local government chairman or into any office. The processes of carrying out your responsibility day to day must be known to people. It must not be left to your own idiosyncrasies, that when you wake up, your whims and caprices, that it is what you want to do that you will do. When you do that, definitely people will not be happy. Definitely you cannot achieve the aim and goals and aspirations of the people. So when the transparency is in place, like I said earlier on, it sets the culture of work. And once that culture of work is set, then we now talk about the ownership of the process. And that ownership is now being accountable to the people that elected you to that place, but they have right to ask questions.
Yes.
And in asking questions, it will not just be anyhow, but the questions will now be asked according to the process that is laid down. We're not talking about the rules governing every process, every action of government. For instance, I told you about employment, admission, and maybe budgetary allocations. You cannot just, via money budgeted for DBS, you cannot carry it to go and build bridge. If you are doing that, people will certainly ask questions. This money was budgeted, the law was passed, and it has been clearly stated that this is for the development of information technology in the state. Why take it to build bridge? The process has been abused. Then the officer must be able to come out to explain to the people the reason why that action took place. That is accountability. But where people don't want to give explanation to the electorate that put them in power, then of course the process can never bring development.
All right, moving forward now. A transparent, or rather, I rather want to use it this way. Elucidating the case of participation now, and most especially when it has to do with participatory governance. Do we see it as crucial to the health of our democracy?
Of course, democracy cannot work without the people. It is the people that the machine or the oil or the gas of democracy. It's about the people. That's why I say it is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Okay.
So it is not for animals or for any other person. It is for the people. Therefore, it is very important that citizens must, at all costs, get themselves involved in participatory governance. Of course, participatory governance, it comes in many ways. For instance, we have direct participation and indirect participation. Direct participation is the process where the people themselves are the lawmakers, while the indirect one, they elect people to represent them to make the laws. So in our climb here, we are practicing the indirect participatory governance, where we elect people to represent us. Therefore, if citizens do not come out to participate, can these people on their own push themselves to become representatives? It will not be easy. Rather, it will be very chaotic. It will not become the system of the rule of the might, the mighty, where you are the strongest, you just push yourself forward. That was in the olden days of, before Thomas Hobbes now, in the olden days of the brute. But now that we have developed to this stage where we now have the indirect democratic system, people must come out to vote. And of course, we have been also talking, before you ask it, let me just quickly add that we have been talking about transparency and accountability. We also know that people find it difficult to participate in these processes of governance, because to many, the process is skewed, it's not transparent. And I said earlier that if you say because the process is not transparent, you do not want to participate in it, ask yourself, will that promote happiness? Will that promote development? I think the answer is no. That is why we must come out, whether the process is balanced now or not, to continue to work on it, develop it to the state where it will be better for all of us. For instance, I'm also quick to add that in the United States of America, where we always make reference to, their democracy is as old as 200 years. But ours is just 60 years. I know that 60 years is long a time for people to develop, to achieve what they want. But of course, here we are. And we cannot throw it away because we have not been able to attain that height we thought we should have reached by now.
Okay, so quickly, as a follow-up to that question, because you've talked about two climates now, in some civilized climes, that their level of democracy is about 200 years,
Yeah.
while that of Nigeria is 60 years moving forward. But we still see high level of voters apathy, either as a result of insecurity, for example, as obtained in the civilized climes. They even go to the extent of even voting technologically, without actually coming to the polling unit. Nigeria has tried. Politics that we have played, because we see in between the 60 years that we have graduated to this level, at the point we saw that they were hijacked, hijacking the process. Military will come take over, they will struggle in and come back. So far so good. Nigeria, this is the highest number of years that we have enjoyed democracy back to back uninterrupted. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, this point you just raised now, I think is one of the major reasons why Global Peace Development, in collaboration with her donors, are sponsoring this program, Citizen Engagement and Enlightenment. That despite all those shortcomings, despite those setbacks, people should not be discouraged. Because if you have taken time to read the history of democracy development in Europe and in America, you will see that all these things also played out there in the beginning. Yes, the history is there for everybody to read, but unfortunately people don't really find time to read here. So why we are here today is to tell people that, look, do not be discouraged because of the unsteady nature of our democratic practices. That is what, for instance, from the voters registration to the actual voting processes, I think the structures are actually there. The structures are there. Just that there are some few persons who are trying to manipulate the processes. And by constant engagement like this and enlightenment, people will now get to know that, no, they must be part and parcel of this process. That they must not be discouraged, because, like I said earlier on, it's not a means and ways of living for some persons, and they will always want to discourage others, threaten them, intimidate them to leave the process for them. It's always the process. But when you stand your ground to say, no, this is my right, I must be registered and I must vote, then of course we are moving on to achieving the target of a greater nation, of a greater state and a greater nation. So if you ask me, I think it's not because I'm a lawyer, but every other person who is interested in politics will know that we have the processes in place. For instance, during the voters registration, there is no discrimination. Nobody has come out to say that because it's a cripple, or rather because it's physically challenged, because it's a woman, he or she was prevented. Yes, none. Yeah. And also during the election, people are allowed to queue up there. What we complain about is that the process sometimes is cumbersome, and because people believe that they do not get what they expect from the system, they cannot also stay outside under the sun or the rain for too long because nothing is coming from it and they go away. This is the point we are trying to make, that That should not discourage them, because when you vote, also know your right of how to question the people you are putting into power. And some of these procedures are there for you to question the people. For instance, let's take assembly members, for example. They have a constituency office back in their local government, where the people who elected them ought to meet with them monthly basis. Of course, the member would have factioned out away a particular time in the month to meet with them, constituency consultation. And also there are town hall meetings by the political parties and other elected officers to meet with the people, to tell them what they are doing, for the people to give them feedback of how they feel about government policies. So all these things are what we ought to promote, to let the people know that these are measures put in place for them to also ensure that the people they elect are put on their
toes. I'd like to thank you so much, Barrister Smart Adoge, consummate lawyer, and a great one at that. Time really is not my friend. I wish I had all the time, but I'm already getting signals now that I need to drop this conversation. But you see, one good thing is that it's continuous.
Yeah.
You know, because part of your global campaign is to do more of engagement using the media as a platform. So we do hope to invite you again. Thank you so much. The conversation has been quite engaging. We look forward to having you again in the morning right some other time. Okay, this is where we'll drop the curtain for today. I will finally do the runoff because it's by the curve there. And so on behalf of the production crew, we'll do it again same time tomorrow, bright and early. My name is Ono Metano. God bless Delta State. God bless Nigeria. Ma.
Dr. Ifeanyi Oswoza noted that Governor Sharif Oborowori was passionate in the development of all parts of the state. Dr. Oswoza tasked members of the group to play their role